Hey everybody, I am doing this is the first lesson in chapter 14 for history. Um, I sent forth some notes. I don't have all of the notes for you guys yet, but I have for the first few countries. Um, I encourage you to print it out now and kind of write as I go. Um, that way there you're keeping up with it and you can use those notes on the test. This may end up being the last chapter we finish for the year, who knows? Um, West of Asia, so I'm going to start reading on page 223. I'm going to read a little quickly, and then we're going to finish Spain today, and then we will that'll be it for today. West of Asia, beyond the Ural Mountains and the Caspian Sea, the continent of Europe reaches out like a great peninsula to the Atlantic Ocean. History reminds us of the importance of Europe as the birthplace of Western civilization. That's where like the culture that we have, the way we know things. We don't have as much Asian culture, or African culture, or whatever as we do Western European culture. The laws, the laws and forms of government found in the modern Western world began among the early European civilizations of Greece and Rome. Traditional standards of right and wrong held in the West actually come from Israel. So a lot of the European ethics and morality comes from Israel because they were big proponents of the Bible. However, the moral values of Judaism and Christianity took root and flourished in Europe rather than Asia, partly because Islam blocked the spread of Christianity eastward. So Islam has always been a bit of an enemy of Christianity and Judaism. Today, the influence of Western civilization can be seen in Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Americas because European powers such as Great Britain, Spain, and France had established colonies there. Although Europe's colonial days have passed, the continent continues to influence the world through its economic and political dealings with other countries. Modern-day Europe has developed some of the most advanced and prosperous nations in the world. As we were talking about last chapter, England was unbelievably prosperous. Two Europes. For almost half of the 20th century, um, Europe was divided into communist Eastern Europe and free Western Europe. So this was part of the Cold War, um, which we don't have time to talk about right now. But the Eastern Europe, that side was the communist section, and this side was the free section. However, in the late 80s and early 90s, Ronald Reagan's presidency during his presidency, and the presidency of George H.W. Bush, the Soviet Empire began to crumble, and communism seemed to lose its hold on the countries of Eastern Europe. Those Eastern European countries which are struggling to become free and strong will be discussed in chapter 15 if we get there. Many countries in Western Europe, such as France, Italy, Portugal, Ireland, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, are republics, where the people elect their leaders. Others, such as Spain, Norway, United Kingdom, Sweden, and Denmark, are constitutional monarchies, with a king, queen, prince, or princess for a leader, and other important leaders who are elected by the people. So, big difference there. We have a republic. All the officials are elected, but the other ones have constitutional monarchies, which means they have a king, a queen, princess, or whatever, but they have people who are elected as well as those. Western Europe's most populous countries are Germany, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, Greece, Belgium, Portugal, Sweden, Australia, and Switzerland. There are 5 peninsulas. Actually, I forgot to include this on the notes. So make somewhere on your notes to include this because I think I started the notes with Spain. Although, you know what? You guys probably, it's 11:07 at night. I can probably just add a little part. So pretend I didn't even say this. I'm going to just take it offline and add a little part and just you'll never know the difference. Peninsulas. There are 5 peninsulas that are important in Europe. The first one, if you look at that little on page 225, that little green area, the Scandinavian Peninsula. Scandinavian Peninsula, the northernmost one, that has Norway, Sweden, and Finland on it. That's where, like, the Kreismans, if you know them from our school, that's where they're from. Then you have Jutland. Jutland below that is where Denmark is. It juts into the North Sea and there. And if you go down to the bottom left, the Iberian Peninsula, that's where Spain and Portugal are. And then down there in the middle bottom is the Apennine Peninsula. That is where Italy is. The Apennine Peninsula is named after the Apennine Mountains. And the bottom right is the Balkan Peninsula. The Balkan Peninsula is where Greece mainly is, but there's also a bunch of other smaller ethnic groups and smaller countries there. The Balkan Peninsula ended up being the area that was the huge issue for starting World War One. That World War One started in that little area, this little area of people that, the edge of Eastern Europe, and it affected the whole world, and that's what World War One is what caused World War Two, and World War Two caused the Cold War, and the reason why we have the world we have today. So you know what? Why don't I leave this as the intro, and we'll get into Spain tomorrow. Okay, so I want to make sure you guys, basically your homework today is make sure you print out the beginning of that, those notes and everything, get ready to take more notes tomorrow. But I do want you to write down those 5 peninsulas, okay? Thank you.